Well, hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. Thanks for your patience as I navigate an extremely busy month. October is my crazy time for my day job. Let me turn my YouTube light on. One quick second. There you go. That's one of the perks, I guess, of being a partner, a YouTube partner. So I was able to nab one of those before they were all gone. So this is my new History on the Horizon episode that I've been meaning to make forever and a day. At some point, I'd like to get to do just a catch-up video with you guys with some just little more personal insights into what I've been doing over here. I've been very busy in between being ill, but nothing serious, guys. I have an autoimmune issue, and it can wreak havoc with me. But I'm on a course of healing that is changing a lot of things in my life, from diet to, everything. Having to wean and kick the sugarless soda habit, the diet soda, Pepsi Zero habit. Drinking a delicious Clever Blends probiotic tea right now. This is their London Fog Super Latte. It's actually quite good. It's full of probiotics and adaptogens and mushrooms and everything else. It's delicious. But yeah, I'm trying to do a whole body just cleanse, and as a result, I've had times where I'm completely wiped out. So my body is, all good things are happening. I'm hoping this new line of treatment is going to just give me more energy and just keep me feeling good, so I can be making videos for you guys. I've also cleaned out a lot of space in this house. A lot of books went bye-bye. I'd say over 650 books have left the premises, and along with 2 very large bookcases, which I'm looking to sell. So, trying to balance books with life and living and my partner, my beautiful Martine. Because, to the answer of the question, can one have too many books? If you're in a relationship, the answer is yes. It absolutely is yes. You can definitely have too many. So, for people who live alone, you want to, suffocate in the books, and you want to do that's your thing. But when you are with someone, you do have to make compromises, and some of those are, realistically, how many do we need in this house? Which means Peg is going to be more targeted in the books that I bring you and I reflect on. Plus, I've been wanting downtime to read the books that I have. So, I've read a lot of these. I haven't read all. So, obviously, that's something I want to work on. Anyway, gosh, we just ended up doing a little check-in right there. So yeah, between just working, heaving out books and moving things and setting up the house in a more just beautiful manner, I think, I've been quite pooped, as it were. But the books keep coming. I still have deadlines and reviews, my book reviews that I do. But I wanted to get the new History on the Horizon filmed because we've got a lot going on in October. Not only is it just, for me personally, a busy month, and professionally busy, and I'll be traveling in a few weeks, but it's October 1st, baby. And I love good horror stories, scary stories. I don't like gore, and I don't like torture. But I like spooky stuff, So Halloween's fun. We've already got some of our decorations out. We're going to put some more out. We've got Historathon 2024, though. We've got Q4 starting up. And I think I will be doing a buddy read for one of those books with Bill Rutenberg. So I need to get my rest of my pile of possibilities together and film that video. And I want to bring you a Halloween horror version. I'm going to be showing you all the horror books that I really can't wait to start. Obviously, I won't be reading all of them, but I've picked out a pile that I want to share with you. So for you horror lovers, hit the notification because I'll be putting out a horror video very shortly. Okay, but let's dive in because we got a lot going on here. I've got a lot of finished copies for books that when I have a finished copy, I'm inclined to say, oh, it's already out, but it may not be out. So what I'm going to do is just kind of keep my screen up in the background so I can, tell you when these books are coming out, because a couple of them do not have pub sheets. So let's start with this one, because speaking of my friend Bill Rutenberg, we have read this author's, it's out right now. Okay, fantastic. We have read this author's work together quite a few times, and he is so prolific. But H.W. Brands has a brand new book out, guys. And this might also be in my pile of possibilities for Historathon 2024. This is America First, Roosevelt versus Lindbergh, in the Shadow of War. This came out on September 24th, so about a week ago. And I got a finished copy from Doubleday. Thank you very much. I can't wait to start reading this. We'll see if Brands does his usual thing of a sentence and then a quote. A sentence and then a quote. But anyway, Hitler's invasion of Poland in September 1939 launched a momentous period of decision-making for the U.S. With fascism rampant abroad, should America take responsibility for its defeat? For famous aviator Charles Lindbergh, saying no to another world war only 20 years after the first was the obvious answer. Lindbergh was adored around the world for his historic first flight over the Atlantic in 1927. Of late, he had emerged as a vocal critic of American involvement overseas, rallying Americans toward isolationism as the voice of the America First Committee. But as Hitler advanced across Europe and threatened Britain, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was determined to turn the tide of public opinion. With political shrewdness and outright deception, aided by secret correspondence with British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and abetted by covert British disinformation efforts in America, FDR readied the country for war. He pushed the U.S. onto the world stage, where it has stayed ever since. So H.W. Brands sheds a light on a crucial tipping point in American history and depicts the making of a legendary president. It's another big beefy book. It's going to be minus the notes about over 400 pages, 402 pages. So America First. Boy, that sounds reminiscent, right? I guess he was making a play in that as well. Roosevelt versus Lindbergh in the Shadow of War from Doubleday. You're probably going to see me drinking a lot of water now on this channel. Boring. No. I do feel better for all the water I've been drinking. Oh, and then here's another book that is actually I got an advanced review copy of, but it comes out today. Kind of current events and political stuff. This is Good Reasonable People, The Psychology Behind America's Dangerous Divide by Keith Payne, who also wrote The Broken Ladder. Good Reasonable People. Okay, this is interesting. So, there's been a lot written about the politicization of just society, the polarization, people just taking sides on the world stage, political parties, policy outcomes, whatever. But Keith Payne's goal is more personal, to focus on what our divisions mean for us as individuals, as families, and as communities. Martina and I were just having a discussion about that the other night, actually. About just how this election and the one before it too, everything has gotten so personal, and it's really torn families apart. And to me, politics is not enough to do that. To me, it tells me there's something deeper going on. For the people who hold views so rigidly that they would even shun going to Thanksgiving dinner because Uncle so-and-so is there, to me that indicates an insecurity. And it doesn't say you're too confident in what you're feeling, or you're having an inability just to say, let's not talk about this at this family event because I love you as a family member. So that kind of bothers me, that people can't let go of an ideology that somehow gives them a feeling of virtue or a feeling of I am correct. We all need to recognize that we're flawed. I'm going to edit this out. All right. Anyway, let's start again. Good, reasonable people. There has been much written about the impact of polarization on elections, political parties, and policy outcomes. But Keith Payne's goal is more personal, to focus on what our divisions mean for us as individuals, as families, and as communities. This book is about how ordinary people think about politics, why talking about it is so hard, and how we can begin to mend the personal bonds that are fraying for so many of us. That's what we need. Drawing upon his own research and other researchers' timely work, as well as his experience growing up in a working-class conservative Christian family in small-town Kentucky, Payne argues that there is a near universal human tendency to believe that people who are different from us are irrational or foolish. The fundamental source of our division is our need to flexibly rationalize ideas in order to see ourselves as good people. Understanding the psychology behind our political divide provides clues about how we can reduce the damage it is causing. What Payne reveals won't allow us to undo our polarization overnight, no. But the lessons and advice he shares can give us the tools to stop going around in circles and frustrating arguments. Yes, but people have to be willing to do that. I find that people don't really want to stop going around in circles, making frustrating arguments. Call me kooky. But I think people are enjoying their sense of self-righteousness. It's all around us. I don't know. I hope good things come from this book. It says that, this book can map the way to separate our political principles from our personal relationships so that we can nurture both. Fingers crossed on that. Again, this is coming out from Viking. It's on sale today, October 1st. Good, reasonable people. And I can tell you, the people that you want to read this book won't be... it won't be good, reasonable people. And I'm saying this is not coded. I think this applies to people on both the extremes. It really does. It just really does. People just enjoy, being right or feeling that they are. Okay, next interesting little book here I got from Kronos Books. The publisher of my friend Scott Edwin Williams's oh gosh, I just did a light bulb moments of history. That's what it was. I come up, woo! See, you can tell I haven't been on camera in a while. All right, the Kronos Books is putting out a little history on von Clausewitz, and it's called the Clausewitz myth. Clausewitz myth, or The Emperor's New Clothes by Azar Gott. Interesting little book. It's like short of 200 pages. I'm intrigued. So Karl von Clausewitz lived from 1780 to 1831. And he was by far the most celebrated military theorist whose prestige has reached new heights. However, this book argues that his reputation has been largely inflated because of the notorious difficulties of understanding his major book on war, which was published in 1832. Many of Clausewitz's interpreters, struggling to make sense of his work, have not admitted to themselves, no less than to their readers, that they did not quite figure it out. Hence, The Emperor's New Clothes. All right. Returning to the subject in an updated and expanded form after 35 years, the preeminent Clausewitz scholar Azar Gott lays out Clausewitz's real intellectual background and the actual development of his ideas on war and its conduct. The Clausewitz myth makes sense of Clausewitz's train of thought, removing the veils of mystification and idolization surrounding it to clearly explain what the man and his work were about. Thereby, the real Clausewitz, with both his significant contributions and his major errors in the field of military theory, replaces the current interpreter's myth of Clausewitz the Absolute. This is an indispensable book for every student of war, military theory, and strategy, and that's me. I am an amateur student in all of those things. So thank you, Kronos Books. I think this is going to be an interesting read. I'd like to pair that with a major study on strategy, which I have a large book I've been meaning to get to on strategy. I think it's by Lawrence Friedman. But anyway, let's keep moving. I got a galley of a memoir. Is it a memoir or no? This is actual. I'm hoping to get the finished copy because this is a little. It's better than reading an ebook because I can annotate in here freely and have all my notes right at hand. No, this is more of just a history, a biography this is from Caliber Books, an imprint of Dutton, and this is Stephen L. Moore in his Beyond the Call of Duty, The Life of Colonel Robert Howard, America's Most Decorated Green Beret. It's slightly over 200 pages. It's not a big read. And when is this coming out? This might... I don't have the pub sheet, or do I? Let me see if there's something in the front. Hold, please. I'm going to hook you guys up because, you know, we have to. Beyond the Call of Duty, Stephen Moore. This book comes out... Oh, this is not until December, you guys. All right, let me read to you a little bit about this. All right, so let me see if I'm got you guys. You got the image here? Okay, so as a child, Robert Howard was taught by his granny Callie to always face his threats head on. Some 30 years later, he emerged from the Vietnam War as America's most decorated Green Beret. For the first time, Howard's story is being told in full. Respected military historian Stephen L. Moore takes readers into the heart of the Vietnam War's covert special ops jungle warfare in this immersive, suspenseful read. Through family sources, National Archive documents, and dozens of testimonials from the Green Berets who fought alongside him, this one-man army will finally be given the recognition he deserves. How cool. Let's see. There's a lot to read here, but I'm going to say... When he enlisted in the Army at age 17, his Granny Callie's words echoed in his head, and he pledged to follow them to the bitter end. In the most dire of combat experiences, Howard ran directly toward his opponents, sacrificing his body to protect others and to complete the mission above all else. Recon commanders who ran missions with him declared him to be the bravest man they had ever met. And in return, Howard received a staggering number of awards and ribbons of valor and distinctive service in combat, over 50 in all. In total, Howard spent a grueling, treacherous 40 months in combat duty in Vietnam. Fantastic. So this is gonna be good. Let me get back to my camera. There we go. Yeah, it's about 250 pages. 250 pages, Beyond the Call of Duty. This comes out December 3rd from Caliber Books. But I've got an advance on that. Another book I picked up. Oh, this is from Johns Hopkins University Press. I think this was a review copy. I think this came out this year. This was just recently. Yes. This is To Fix a National Character, The United States in the First Barbary War, 1800 to 1805, by Abigail G. Mullen. I'll just read a little bit of this. To fix a national character, Abigail Mullen argues that in this book, Abigail Mullen argues that the First Barbary War represented much more than the military defeat of an irritating minor power. And having said that, I'm speaking to mostly people who are well versed in American history, but in case you're not, the First Barbary War was against the Barbary states in Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, the Sultanate of Morocco, who preyed upon American shipping in the Mediterranean. So basically pirates, okay? And Thomas Jefferson had enough of that. So let's see. Okay, so it was more than just a defeat of an irritating minor power. The United States sought a much more ambitious goal: entrance to the Mediterranean community, as well as respect and recognition as an equal member of the European Atlantic world. Without land bases in the region, good relations with European powers were critical to the United States' success in the war. And because the federal government was barely involved in the distant conflict, this diplomacy fell to a series of consuls and commodores whose goals as well as diplomatic skills varied greatly. Let's see. Drawing on naval records, consular documents, and personal correspondences, Mullen focuses on the early years of the war, when Americans began to build relationships with their Mediterranean counterparts. This nuanced political and diplomatic history demonstrates that these connections represented the turning point of the war rather than any individual battles. Though the war officially ended in 1805, whether the United States truly won the war is debatable. European nations continued to regard the United States as a lesser nation, and the Barbary states continued their demands for at least another decade. All right, so Owen, our author, is an assistant professor of history at the United States Naval Academy. Fantastic. I'm going to have fun reading this one. Yeah, I haven't read about the Barbary Wars in a while, and I think this is the perfect book to get back on that. From Johns Hopkins University Press, Abigail G. Mullen. It's out right now. Okay, this book is not coming out until... Wow, these are going into the next year. Let me show you this book that it's a little bit late, but it comes into my D-Day reading that I did over June, July, August. Kind of just took it all over for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. There you go. This book is the 80th anniversary edition, a beautiful book. I think Osprey might have sent it to me, or Bloomsbury. Thank you. The imprint is Saberstorm Publishing, but this is a hardcover 80th edition of Pegasus Bridge, the capture, defense, and relief of the Cayenne Canal and River Orne bridges on D-Day, by Neil Barber. Look at this. It's a beautiful edition. 80th anniversary edition. Take that off. Beautiful book with some great artwork on the front. That's called Operation Dead Stick. Yeah. All right. Don't have a pub sheet, but I will read from the back real quick. Let's see. Midnight, D-Day, 6th of June, 1944, under the cover of darkness. 6 wooden gliders containing Major John Howard's coup de main party head towards 2 strategic bridges spanning the Cayenne Canal and River Orne. They are tasked with their capture, the very first action of D-Day. Once these flimsy aircraft are down, whatever happens, the men know that they will be totally alone for a crucial period, awaiting the inevitable German reaction. Could Howard's Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire light infantry hold on long enough for the arrival of Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Pinecoffin's 7th Parachute Battalion, entrusted with expanding the small defensive bridgehead into Bénouville? Could these and further elements of the 6th Airborne Division landing and holding Ranville just to the east prevent the recapture of the bridges and hold on until the arrival of the seaborne relief? These were the crucial questions for the division on D-Day. History now tells us that the whole operation was indeed a brilliant achievement, with the capture of the bridges being one of the Second World War's most legendary actions. But what actually happened, and what did those involved have to do to ensure that the whole day was a success? So this book is really going to go into those details. And lots of illustrations, photos from the period, the men involved, the aerial reconnaissance photos. There we go. Fantastic. So Pegasus Bridge, this is going to go along with my other D-Day reads. Okay, a couple more books here. I'm going to be trying to get this reviewed by the end of this weekend. I have to start reading it. I can do it. This is a new book coming out in November from the University of Massachusetts Press. I'll be reviewing this, fingers crossed, for Shelf Awareness, and this is Malcolm Before X by Patrick Parr. Again, it's from University of Massachusetts Press. I got the advanced review copy. So in February 1946, when 21-year-old Malcolm Little was sentenced to 8 to 10 years in a maximum security prison, he was a petty criminal and street hustler in Boston. By the time he was paroled in August 1952, he had transformed into a voracious reader, joined the Black Muslims, and was poised to become Malcolm X, one of the most prominent and important intellectuals of the civil rights era. Paying particular attention to his time in prison, Patrick Parr's Malcolm Before X provides a comprehensive and groundbreaking examination of the first 27 years of Malcolm X's life. Parr explores Malcolm's complicated childhood in the Midwest and follows him as he moves east to live with his sister Ella in Boston's Roxbury neighborhood. Parr utilizes a trove of previously overlooked documents that include prison files and prison newspapers to immerse the reader into the unique cultures of Charlestown State Prison, the Concord Reformatory, and the Norfolk Prison Colony. It was at these institutions that Malcolm had devoured books, composed poetry, boxed, debated, and joined the Nation of Islam, changing the course of his life and setting the stage for a decade of anti-racist activism that would fundamentally reshape American culture. So I've always been fascinated by Malcolm X, and particularly his early life, which this fits the bill completely. I mean, I remember seeing the Spike Lee film on Malcolm X, and Denzel Washington playing Malcolm X in the zoot suit, heading down the street at night, getting in on the action. But I think this is definitely going to give us more of an insight into his time in prison and how he developed his thinking. So I want to start reading this, so I might start reading this tonight. I've got a lot still on my plate. What are we going to do? But this is coming in November. No, don't have the actual date, but again, University of Massachusetts Press, but you can find it anywhere. Great books are sold, you know what I'm saying? Next book I definitely want to review for Shelf Awareness. This book is coming out in November 19th. And is very timely. And this is Eugene Finkel's Intent to Destroy, Russia's 200-Year Quest to Dominate Ukraine. It's being put out by Basic Books. Got my advanced review copy here. November 19th. Okay. I feel like I've read this one to you before, but Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 shocked the world, and yet to Ukrainians, this attack was painfully familiar, the latest episode in a centuries-long Russian campaign to divide and oppress Ukraine. In Intent to Destroy, political scientist Eugene Finkel uncovers these deep roots of the Russo-Ukrainian war. So obviously, if you're not aware of geography, just go look on a map, go to a world globe, go online, just look up a map. Ukraine is a key borderland between Russia and the West. Okay, and following the rise of Russian nationalism in the 19th century, dominating Ukraine became the cornerstone of Russian policy. Russia has long used genocidal tactics, killings, deportations, starvation, and cultural destruction to successfully crush Ukrainian efforts to chart an independent path. As Finkel shows, today's violence is simply a more extreme version of the Kremlin's long-standing policy. But unlike in the past, the people of Ukraine, motivated by the rise of democracy in their nation, have overcome their deep internal divisions. For the first time, they have united in favor of independence from Russia. Whatever the outcome of the present war, Ukraine's staunch resistance has permanently altered its relationship with Russia and the West. This book offers the vital context we need to truly understand Europe's bloodiest conflict since World War II. But I would also suggest you read Serhii Plokhy. He is far closer, I think, to the actual events, and he's just an amazing historian and writer. Let me find you the book that I'm referring to. I have many of his books, but he just recently wrote one that was a really good primer. Well, he wrote obviously The Gates of Europe, which is a very best-selling and highly regarded history of Ukraine, but he just recently wrote The Russo-Ukrainian War: The Return of History in 2023. So check out Serhii Plokhy as well. All right, let me get back to where I was. But But I'm going to check this out, even though the print is kind of fuzzy in a few pages and it's going to give me a migraine. Yeah, I'd like to get this. I have a few weeks to read this one, actually. I'll need to read the Malcolm X one first, but check out Intent to Destroy, coming in November from Basic Books. A couple of books from other press. I have this, when is this coming out? These books are actually coming out in January, but I'll show it to you anyway. So we've got Another Zionism, Another Judaism, The Unrequited Love of Rabbi Marcus Ehrenpreis by Goran Rosenberg. It's a timely, deeply personal biography of a Jewish leader whose questions for Israel have come back to haunt us with a vengeance. Oh boy. Okay. Born in what is now, here we go, Lviv, Ukraine, in 1869, Marcus Ehrenpreis was the secretary of Theodor Herzl at the First Zionist Congress in Basel in 1897, a grand rabbi of Bulgaria during 2 Balkan Wars, a diplomat in defense of Europe's minorities, a Swedish author compared to Joseph Conrad, the chief rabbi of one of Europe's few unscathed Jewish communities through the Nazi era. Okay, so that he was all those things. More than a biography, this book is a literary journey by award-winning Swedish Jewish public intellectual Goran Rosenberg, in search of that European Jewish world of meaning and hope that Ehrenpreis so clearly embodied, and so relentlessly worked to explain, defend, and salvage from his pulpit in Stockholm. His lifelong dream was to build a bridge between Israel and the peoples by bringing a revitalized Judaism into a new and self-asserted contact with the non-Jewish world. His Zionism was not about making Jews a nation like all others, but creating a spiritual and cultural center for the renaissance of Jewish life amidst the nations. Even as Jewish life in Europe was all but annihilated, he feared what Jewish nationalism might do to the spiritual heritage of Judaism. Interesting. Yeah. I can see where there's worries about, how nationalism can affect, your spiritual underpinnings. But again, all things in moderation, right? A meticulously researched and beautifully written story of boundless hope, unrequited love, and annihilated possibilities. Another Zionism, Another Judaism evokes a diasporic Jewish existence that would be harshly judged in the aftermath of the Holocaust and the creation of the State of Israel. It also reminds us of a Zionism that strived for something other than an ethnic national fortress on a narrow strip of land in the Middle East. Timely reading. This comes out January 28th, 2025. Timely historical reading, I should say. I've got a few books on Zionism that I still want to tap into. And this all comes, sorry for hitting the microphone, this all comes on a day where, two sovereign nations are, well, I should say a terrorist entity is, no. Two sovereign nations are, throwing missiles and, at each other. Anyway. I can't go into that. Okay, next book is coming out January 21st, also from other press. And this is I Seek a Kind Person, My Father, 7 Children, and the Adverts That Helped Them Escape the Holocaust by Julian Borger. So another Holocaust survival tale, I think. In 1938, Jewish families are scrambling to flee Vienna. Desperate, they take out advertisements offering their children into the safekeeping of readers of a British newspaper, the Manchester Guardian. The right words in the right order could mean the difference between life and death. 83 years later, Guardian journalist Julian Borger comes across the ad that saved his father, Robert, from the Nazis. Robert had kept this a secret, like almost everything else about his traumatic Viennese childhood, until he took his own life. Drawn to the shadows of his family's past and starting with nothing but a page of newspaper ads, Borger traces the remarkable stories of his father, the other advertised children, and their families, each thrown into the maelstrom of a world at war. From a Viennese radio shop to the Shanghai ghetto, internment camps and family homes across Britain, the deep forests and concentration camps of Nazi Germany, smugglers saving Jewish lives in Holland, an improbable French resistance cell, and a redemptive story of survival in New York, Borger unearths the astonishing journeys of the children at the hands of fate, their stories of trauma and the kindness of strangers. So, again, this is another Other Press title coming out in January. I've got some more time on that one. I do want to show you this book that came in. It's kind of more literary than history, but I'm a literary person as well, and I definitely wanted, they offered an advanced reading copy. This book is on sale this month. Actually comes out at the end of the month, October 29th, but for those of you who love like literary and literary criticism, things like this, please check out this one, because I have already thumbed through a couple of the different chapters and got engrossed, and I was like, this is going to be a good read. May not agree with all of it, but it's going to be good. This is Dangerous Fictions: The Fear of Fantasy and the Invention of Reality by Leda Gold, who is a critic, essayist, and fiction writer living in Queens. Okay, so what is this one about? Let me tell you. Alright, so fictional stories have long held an uncanny power over hearts and minds, especially those of young people. In Dangerous Fictions, Leda Gold traces arguments, both historical and contemporary, that have labeled fiction as dark, immoral, frightening, or poisonous. Within each, she asks, how dangerous is fiction really, and what about it provokes waves of moral panic and even censorship? Gold argues that any panic about art is largely a disguised panic about power. There have been versions of these same fights over fiction for centuries. By exposing fiction as a social danger and a battleground of immediate public concern, we can see what each side really wants: the right to shape the future of a world deeply in flux and a distraction from more pressing material concerns about money, access, and the hard work of politics. From novels about people driven insane by reading novels to propaganda TV shows that influence how viewers regard the police, Gold uses her signature wit, research, and fearless commentary to point readers toward a more substantial question. Fiction may be dangerous to us, but aren't we also dangerous to it? So, this is going to be good. Like Chapter 4, Fear of Red Literature. That's the kind of stuff that appeals to me. With all my studies into Soviet Union and communism. And, and I was so sorry to miss Red September's final video on September 28th, just a couple days ago. I was sick. Ugh. But anyway, this is going to be good. So this is coming out from Soft Skull Press. Soft Skull Press. It's a very unique little imprint. Dangerous Fictions by Leda Gold, October 29th. Check it out. And I thought this book... Well, no. We'll save this for something else. Okay, guys, so there's your New History on the Horizon, a brand new episode. I still have stacks of books here that I have to film. Now that I have less shelving, I will be very strategic about what will be staying in this house and what will be moving back out. But yeah, I've got at least 2 different fiction videos I need to make for you guys just to break it up. Historical fiction, but also some other stuff. And I have another stack of some new, well, not a huge stack. I've got some new mail downstairs that I haven't gone through. So, having said that, I probably have the bones of the next New History on the horizon already in the making. But in the meantime, hit the notification button, subscribe, and let me know what you think of these books. Like I said, I'll be reviewing a couple of these, and I think there's a couple of others. Oh, I should maybe show you New History on the Horizon. I'm doing a lot more. I have more e-reading coming in, so I have to show you like jacket covers on here. No, that's not right. Ugh, you guys. I like having a physical copy because I could just hold it up to you and show you. But here's another one. I might, if I have time, I might try to break out this weekend. It's either going to be this or Malcolm X, but it sounds really good too. It's We Dared to Fly, Dangerous Secret Missions During the Vietnam War by William Reeder Jr. That comes out October 5th. So stay on the lookout for that. Yeah, I've got a lot of galleys. I just don't have enough time to read everything that I'm sent, so I have to pick and choose. All right, guys, so until next time, and I hope it to be very soon. I plan to get at least 3 videos up this week. That is my goal. So we're gonna get back into the habit until I have to travel, hopefully, in a few weeks. So until next time, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf. I'll be back with more content, so you better be here and read more history, baby. That's all I got to say. Take care. Bye-bye.